This week on the Shameless Podcast.
Hi, my name is Nono Bokete, and I am the Chief Ambassador here at Transformation Leader.
And my name is Dzikamai Gangaidzo. Welcome back to the Shameless Podcast, where we talk about things that actually move your career forward, without sugarcoating it, of course.
Last episode, we talked about the invisible inquiry trap. Why hard work without visibility keeps you stuck, but even when you step into the spotlight, there's another hurdle: confidence. If you don't own your space, your ideas can still get lost.
Well, exactly. I mean, think of confidence as your workplace currency. I mean, if you can be a billionaire in talent, but you're broke in confidence, that means you can't spend anything. What use is that?
And that's what we're unpacking today: the confidence currency. How to build it, spend it, and grow it without turning into a corporate billboard.
But before we dive straight back into it, do us a favor. Hit that button that gets you to subscribe, or give us a little bit of a thumbs up. And you can even do one better than that, is share this episode with a colleague or friend who's been sitting on $1 million of ideas. But he whispers them, or she whispers them like it's a state secret. We all know who they are.
All right, save a genius today. Now let's get shameless. TK, what stories do we have today?
We have got somebody straight out of Gaborone, Botswana, and this one stings like hard. I mean, so Tato is the name of the person who's giving us the story, and the story is: "Hey, shameless team, I work at a government ministry."
Wow. I feel like I don't want to.
I'm slightly nervous, to be honest.
Government, what if I get
and then what are we doing? These are state secrets. And you just said it. We just said it, like state secrets, and now this guy out here is telling state secrets. Okay, let's hear him out. It's the right thing to do.
It doesn't mean
Okay. Not that you might be on your own. You might just be sharing a secret and getting no help in the end. Anyways, Tata works for a government ministry, and I know my stuff. I've trained people who now outrank me. My problem is confidence. In big meetings, I freeze. I write down the perfect points, but I don't say them. Ish. I know that feeling. And then somebody else speaks up with exactly the same idea, and suddenly they seem like the smart one. Am I just not cut out for leadership, or can confidence really be learned? What's your take on that, Nono?
Fixed mindset or growth mindset? I think we spoke about this in the very first episode for Shameless around mindset. How's your mindset? Do you remember that?
Wait, no, I don't. Please remind me. Which course am I able to hear? Remind me. Which course gives me that mindset? Is it the mindset reset?
It is.
It's the mindset reset. Okay, what's the whole point? Sorry.
The point of that is that confidence isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about showing up clearly and consistency when it counts. And you can still learn it, obviously. Right? That's the whole point about being in the
growth mindset.
So I don't want anyone to go, oh, because I'm shy, or because I'm an introvert, or because no one in my family has ever had this sort of position or opportunity. Those are just excuses, plain and simple. I know people who have had probably more disadvantages than you have. And the reason I'm saying that is because the fact that you're listening to this means you already have access to internet, which is an advantage over people who do not. So stop with the excuses. And secondly, I want to point out that
you're really not sugarcoating it, huh?
I think it's because today I had a session with my team around this exact same conversation.
And
so it's really it's still in my heart.
It's still a bit raw right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So studies show that people who project confidence are often rated as more competent regardless of actual performance. And I have seen this live. It can even extend to the way that people speak English. And so, for example, especially in the African context, I've seen that people who are able to articulate their ideas clearly, confidently, and crisply are seen to be more smart than people who cannot. And unfortunately, what you need to understand as a transformation leader, you need to understand, how do you navigate the biases and prejudices of people around, because you cannot control that. Don't waste your time. Oh, it's so unfair. People don't like me. I don't care. All right. You can control how you speak, how you show up, and how you perform. So we need to make sure that, yes, it's unfair, but in the workplace, confidence spends like cash. Nobody checks your balances. They just notice if you're paying in coins and crisp notes. So if you're letting someone else cash in your ideas because you hesitate, you are the dummy, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to step up. Tato, what I want you to do is think about what is the worst thing that could possibly happen if you actually say your idea out loud. What is the actual worst thing that can happen? Are you going to get shot? No? Then guess what? Just do it. What about you, DK? Let's give it the softer version, the more diplomatic option.
I did. Whoa! I don't even know why you're shitting me like that. I'm just saying, like, that was a lot. That was a lot to unpack in that little, like, what you just talked about was just like, that was a lot.
Go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
What do you want me to say to that? I can't natural, like, get better than that. What's the question exactly? No.
Because it sounds like you think I'm being unfair, but I think I'm being very truthful. I think a lot of people are saying many excuses about why they can't speak up, why they can't. And unfortunately, Tato is kind of like representing everybody in this space right now. So it sounds like I'm attacking you, but I am not, girl or boy. The fact of the matter is that if you aren't showing up for yourself, so if you watched our previous episode around, the invisibility trap, we talked about being able to show up for yourself in a room, in a space, because no one's going to do it for you. So even if you're like in a laddering space, you're finding a sponsor, you still have to show up, because even if your sponsor says, hey, I know this girl, Nono, she's really great, you are still going to have to be on the spot showing the greatness to somebody else. They go, yeah, actually, Nono is great, right? That, oh, I know Nono, she's great. Then Nono's like,
see,
I'm
no,
not
but the thing
apologizing
is,
if
okay,
you're alive.
okay. So you know the thing. Why? I guess my main thing about sort of appreciating what you're saying is sometimes it's about building that, like putting yourself in positions where you do that, and then you do that again, and then you do that. So you build off of, you gain some momentum, and that's not always easy. You have to choose your battles, you choose your moments wisely. And so I think it's about choosing moments wisely. It's about choosing when you're going to do that, and then doing it occasionally, right? Because I can appreciate that it's not the norm for everybody.
Awesome. So let's go to listener number 2 story. What do we got?
Okay, so listen, number 2 is now let's cross over to Austin, Texas. This one is from Maria, who works at a startup. Here's the letter. My boss keeps telling me I need to show more leadership potential. I need to show more leadership potential. But every time I speak confidently, I feel like I'm faking it. Meanwhile, my male colleague, who knows less than me, talks like they own the place and gets praised for executive presence. How do I rebuild confidence without playing a character? And I guess do we know that guy? That's like the CEO of Obvious.com.
It's like, clap for you. I've discovered oxygen. I sliced toast. Everything. Oh, you're so amazing.
The guy. No, why? But see, the thing is, he's playing into an opportunity, right? Where he sees, like, well, right here, if I don't fill this gap, then there's nobody else who's going to fill it. So I gotta be that guy who reaffirms the status, the space.
I agree with you. Like, so let me, Mariah, I am going to give you a couple of confidence builders that you can try. And you can also try this, Tato, okay? Because I don't want people to not come for me like, oh, but Nono was nice when Mariah came.
Yeah, Nona's there like to have some courage, do better, do you, and then to Maria, you're like, let's try build the confidence through these practical confidence builders.
Horrible review. All right, so first, I want you guys to.
So these are for both Tato and Maria. Just putting it out there.
Yes. So first, cool. I want you guys to do your micro moments of confidence. So commit to saying one thing in every meeting, even if it's a question. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're probably going to feel like sweat underneath your armpits. You're probably going to feel tingling at the back of your neck. You might even feel your heartbeat start to patter and you'll hear it in your ears because that's how nervous you might be. That's okay. What I want you to do is ground yourself, maybe count to 5, breathe in through your nostrils, breathe out through your mouth, and then just ask the question. So speak up even if your voice is shaking, because it's kind of like exposure therapy, right? The more and more you do it, the better you'll become, the more comfortable you'll become, because you realize that, oh, nothing terrible has happened. I don't know in terms of micro moments of confidence, if you have anything to add there, or if you have tried anything to maybe like build your confidence in spaces. I know that what I do is just throw myself in the wind and go, I'm scared.
Here we go. You know, actually, I actually have a story from somebody who I worked with, a really smart, really technical individual. We had a discussion in one-on-one, and in the one-on-one space, you could see that this person was driven at an idea, at a focus, but then when he's out in the open, didn't really have that confidence. And so what I did was I took him out of the place where he was most comfortable completely, and I put him in a space where he had to deal with people, where he had to interact, where he had to lead people. And that meant that there was only the tool that he could learn to grow, the only the muscle that he could learn to grow was being able to have moments of, those micro moments of confidence by having, the discussions with people. And over time, he then sort of started learning how to gaining the confidence that he is actually a competent leader and that he actually has the tools to be a confident person as well. And for me, it was he got out of a space that he was normally in. And he then had to find moments in his workday to build off of and to gain that momentum. And I think we would have those sort of catch ups every period and would reflect upon how he's done. And through those reflection moments, he would actually start gaining more and more confidence. And you could see that within him to a point where he stopped doubting his ability to be confident or his ability to lead.
Yeah, I think that that's actually good. Like stepping out of your space completely and like almost like jumping in the deep end and hoping there's a life jacket. Another thing that you could possibly try that I've advised some people to do is do improv, because
That's
improv, you have to think on your feet, spontaneous. You kind of have to learn how to like not care about what people think. And it's fun. I feel like it's low risk because you just be doing it as like a game. But eventually you'll start to get more confident in terms of speaking out loud.
yeah.
Another thing for someone like you, Tato, and Mariah is anchor in facts, not feeling. If you lead with data, this say 10 hours and not just, I think this helped, that language alone makes you more confident. So if you notice the way that I speak, I like to always back what I say with fact. And DK is going to try and come out here and say that I say
What?
my opinions as facts. It's not.
You do. You go. So do you know that 92% of, okay, you never use your opinion in a percentage form, but you do. Anyways, moving on.
That's my point. So if you use facts that are facts that someone can actually Google, look up and go, oh, wow, that's actually true. It also anchors your language is now anchored in more confident language. You don't have to say things like, I feel like. I know that this is how you feel. You're the one speaking. So I assume that this is your POV. In terms of you, DK, like, have you seen language maybe, or types of language or types of facts, when to use it, when not to use facts, when to just like kind of, like when do we know when and what?
So, two things on that. I think a very strong underlying component of this is the preparation, right? So, if you've read and prepared and you've got a good understanding and grapple around some of the very objective, the objective drivers within a space, and by that I mean it's not whether or not Fred did 10 of the 20 tasks. It is a fact. Like he did 10 of the 20 tasks, and you can see it's documented, and it's known. And therefore, when somebody then challenges you, why did you do this? Or when somebody then asks you a counter question, you have got the reasoning behind your decision, the reasoning behind your thought process, and that's where facts really come into play. But I've seen also the other side where too many facts can make something seem like very robotic or monotonous. And so then it's just like, wait, did that happen, or are you just reading off a chat GPT prompt, right? And so I think there's a combination of that where somebody just talks in too prescriptive without actually having some relatability or emotion into a context, that then takes away that the fact that there's a larger context besides the data. But when you've got the data, it's important to make it clear that this happened, that happened, and these are objective things, and not necessarily get mixed up into, because I feel like this and you feel like this, now suddenly we're in the kangaroo court of emotions.
Did you say the kangaroo court of emotions?
Where anybody's opinion matters. Anyone can just say whatever they want because they feel like it. And you're like, those are the wildest like meetings. It's just like, also me, I've got a thought. And you're like, no, you're not supposed to have a thought. We're out here speaking facts. And that's where you really you lose a level of confidence, a lot of different aspects. No. Question. Would you say that people who talk fast show confidence, or people who talk calmly show confidence? Is there any way that you talk, the pace? Is there anything that gives away confidence?
I'm no talker, but I would say I'm confident. But what I will say is that you need to practice the pause. So confidence isn't only about like speed. You breathe and speak. If you really, and I feel like it also depends on what you do. So for example, when I think about practicing the pause, I think of Martin Luther King. I have a dream. Pause, pause, pause. That my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin. Pause, pause, pause. But the content of their character. Pause, pause, pause. I have a dream today. Pause, right? So like, I feel like that's like evoking emotion, making you think about, oh, this dream, that's amazing. But if I'm just talking to you about like, I have saved 5%, pause. Like, it might be a little bit awkward. So when
it's dramatic, you're going for the theater of it.
Exactly. So when I think about that, I'm thinking like, yes, you must pause, but pausing more to ensure that you have clarity in speech and people understanding what you're saying. So obviously when I'm talking to you, I'm pausing naturally between thoughts and breaths, but it's maybe not as dramatic as I have a dream that one day or if you think about politicians or pastors, like, it's like, okay, we get it. Like but it draws you in. So if you're speaking to like
telling a story,
then yes, speak that way. But if you're just speaking to talk about the project that you've done, what I'm saying about pauses, don't just rush through numbers. And then we're not in an auction. We're not trying to sell anything. So pause and let sure that people understand. And then I would say, finally, find a hype ally, someone who nods back, backs you up, echoes your point. I love people like that. Like when I'm in a room and I'm talking, I look around, I make eye contact. And, when someone's nodding, it's like, okay, I'm on the right track. Like, I got this. They kind of helps feed that confidence. What about you, DK? Any stories?
About hype people? I'm usually the hype one. I'm like, yeah,
Are you the
can
hype
do
person?
it. I'm the hype person all the time. I'm the one that's like, yeah, you know what? And you know what? And I think it's because I gain a lot of confidence from that too. So I one thing that really helps when you're in a space, either when you don't have a level of confidence or where you're looking for assurances, is having the room also responds to you, right? When you get that, yeah, okay, cool. And then it's like, okay, I might be onto something, or this is making sense. And that's always something that's good to see. But sometimes also but you don't want something that's going to lie to you, right? You want something that's going to be giving you the real energy. And so then sometimes just the room can either be your hype or your guide, right? And that's what I think I call it. It's either hype or guide. It's not hype and failure. It's you have to carry that ability to read a room. And so when you're tanking or when it's not going so smooth, you can identify that and then be like, you know what, let me try to switch this up a little bit. And I think also the fact you pause just gives that opportunity for the room to respond, but also gives you the opportunity to read the room and really build off of that. So I think that hype man, hype ally, the flip side of that is that it's that opportunity to respond. It's that reading the energy in the room.
Yeah.
So,
and I think last thing that I would say to Tato and Mariah, is if you have friends, family, you can try and just speak up in front of them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to practice, like, it's a safe environment, hopefully, and it's low risk, hopefully, for you. And it's, and practice in front of the mirror so that you practice speaking, and then really commit to doing this for yourself, not for anybody else, but for you. And, go out there, which brings me to this week's challenge. In your
Go
next
for it.
meeting, our Tatos and our Mariahs, I want
No, you don't need to overdo it. I mean, we realize you don't like Tato, you like Mariah. It's okay. You're out here busy like calling out Tato for everything that you weren't gonna call them out for. But I mean, I'm just calling you out because we're confident here. We're just confident. What's the challenge? Sorry.
So I want you the next meeting to speak up once. It doesn't have to be profound, just one clear contribution, then write down how it felt. Confidence, you need to treat it like a muscle. So you build it one rep at a time, right? So today I spoke up, I felt like I was going to have diarrhea. Okay. The next day I spoke up, I just felt like I was going to have a little pee. The next day I spoke up, it was just sweat under my armpits. The other day I spoke up, it was just my heartbeat. The other day I spoke up, like my hands were a little bit sweaty, but everything else was fine. The next day I spoke up, okay, I still felt a bit nervous, but I'm doing this because you might be someone who will always feel nervous when you speak up, and that's okay. It's how do you manage and still work through it despite that.
And if it comes out messy, I think it's quite natural and it's normal. In fact, good on you if it comes out messy, because that's what we want to see. Because how on earth do you like build muscle, like Nono was saying, that's not how reps work. Reps are no one hits the gym once and then walks out looking like the Rock. Nah, doesn't happen. Right? Anyways, moving on.
So confidence isn't about never doubting yourself. It's about showing up despite the doubt. Sheryl Sandberg said, "Fortune does favor the bold, and you'll never know what you're capable of if you don't try." So please get out there, try for yourself, try for the future generation, try for like generational words, for breaking up curses,
ancestors, your bloodline, the whole thing,
everything.
And I guess if you want to keep building both the visibility and the confidence you need to actually move up, check out the T4L course in confidence code and I guess it's got packed within it real strategies, not just pep talks, so you can finally get recognized without becoming that loudmouth in the office nobody wants to sit next to. Give it a look. Give it a start and start stacking up that confidence currency this week. Thank you very much for joining us.
This podcast is brought to you by Transformation Leader. You can follow us at www.t4leader.com.